Or
Did you ever figure it out? Did we get uploaded?
we did about half of it. I figure at least half of it was deleted because of my boo-boo on the Jules Verne thing.
Oh, that's right. Okay, that's
I was
okay.
really surprised any of it came through, considering that boo-boo.
Well, I'm gonna put us
Oh,
put it. I'm gonna put a link in Facebook.
good
But
idea.
what? So so yesterday on the way home from work, I had a flat tire.
Oh man, those are always just a barrel of laughs.
It was at 5:30. I'm on the highway and my tire light comes on, and so I pull over. Well, no, I pulled off the highway and I actually went down and I ended up in the Harkins Theater. Is it Harkins? Yeah, Harkins Theater parking lot. And one of my tires was at 25 pounds. And so I knew that was the one. And I put my spare on. I haven't put a spare on in probably 25, 30 years, Ellis.
Hey, you
And
know
so I
what?
was,
If I'd been
yeah,
caught out in the wild with my truck like that before I messed with it, just at the house,
yeah.
I would have been baffled by it because it was
Oh,
kind of
really?
yeah, it's kind of a tricky thing to get it down out of its carrier.
Oh, yeah, trucks are hard. I don't know if I told you this. I used to have a small pickup, and I had an Isuzu, but it wasn't it wasn't an extended cab like yours, but it
Hmm.
was about the same size as yours. And yeah, I had a flat tire on the highway one time, and I couldn't hardly get there's some big rod I had to stick up in there,
Yeah,
and
yeah, exactly.
it was like, oh my gosh, I had a massive blowout on the highway one time. I ran over something debris on the highway, and my tire instantly went flat, and the debris flipped up and punched a hole through the wheel well in the bed of the truck.
Man,
I'm glad it was the back wheel. If it had been the front wheel, no telling what it had done. You know. Uh, but anyway, so I pulled it off and I saw, oh, there's a nail in the tire, so I knew for sure that was the problem. And I called Michelle and I said, I got a nail in this tire. Can you call the tire place and make a reservation for tomorrow? As soon as they can. There's one by my house. And so I put the donut on and I drove with it, but you can't drive over 50. You're not supposed to. I didn't feel real secure driving it, to be honest with you, but it's
oh
probably
yeah,
fine.
yeah, donut's scary to drive on.
Yeah, I and they're only good for like a couple hundred miles, I think, and then they'll just fall apart. And
Yeah,
so we weren't real busy at work, and the first appointment they could get me at was like 11:30. And Michelle has been working at home, so I could have drove her car, except for today of all days, she had to go on a job inspection to Lawton. So she was gone all day. So I just took the day off. I had some stuff I needed to do, and so I took the day off. I'm done with the inks on the first 8 pages of my comic, and so I wanted to. I prepped the last. I prepped 2 more pages for pencils because I knew that we'd be talking tonight, and so that's what I did today. But the flat thing, and it really didn't take me that long. It went pretty quick. I was, you get in there and you're like, am I gonna be able to, unwrench it? Am I gonna be able to, everything went pretty
hmm
smooth. The guys at the tire shop were laughing because my car in the trunk where the spare tire goes, it has a piece of foam. It has a board that goes under the carpet. There's a piece of foam, and then there's a round piece of foam that goes in the tire. There's a spot for everything, so nothing rattles. So I was watching them, and they looked baffled trying to get it all back together.
It's like it
I
was.
went,
It's like it was
yeah,
made to be a collectible or something. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's exactly what it's like. Well, I'm sure they made it so nothing would rattle.
Yeah.
So so like in the wild when I put the tire in, of course the tire wouldn't fit where the compact goes, because it's too big, too wide, and so I just threw the tire in the trunk and all that foam or all that styrofoam or whatever, it's that high density stuff. I just threw that in the back seat, and then when I got home, I kind of sorted it out a little bit, you know. But and it didn't help that I had a bunch of crap in my trunk. I have a set of coveralls that stays in my trunk year round.
Yeah, in case you have get caught out in the winter weather, right?
Well, here's the thing. I'm on the snow crew at my work, so if it's bad weather, I'm supposed to be there early so I can help clean off sidewalks.
Oh, I gotcha. Very practical.
Well, except the odds of snow any time in the next 3 months are pretty slim.
Well, the odds of having car trouble in some of our winter weather can be pretty high. A guy having insulated coveralls could save his life.
Oh, I will. Well, I will throw them back in the trunk. They're not in the trunk right now. I'll throw them back in the trunk when it gets, October, that time of year.
Yeah,
definitely will. But for now, they just got to sit in my trunk and took up room, which I didn't need them doing. But anyway, so I did that. I had a package at the post office I had to go get, and I had some library books. Talked to the girl from the library for a little bit. Told her I'm ready for the library to be open.
Yeah, I think we all are.
Well, some of us. Some people are. And of course, the cases have gone up here in Oklahoma. So.
Oh yeah, they're going to go up.
Yeah. Well, yeah. That's. But
Yeah, I titled this segment "Allosaurs and Hamlet."
I got the thing. It's not coming up on my. I know of.
It should be live. Maybe I messed up. No.
Well,
we're broadcasting.
I saw it on. I don't know why my TV isn't cooperating. That's weird.
Your TV, as in your link
there it
to
is. There.
YouTube.
Yeah, there it is. I wanted to see if we had anybody watching.
Well, I just scrambled to kind of get it all technically started, and I don't promote it. And if anybody finds it's because I've subscribed.
Oh yeah, that's fine. I mean, last week, how long did we talk after we knew it wasn't even pulling up? I was watching your You Rang video, dude. It starts off sideways for some reason.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I started off sideways so that the detail is higher.
Yeah.
Because it was just to show the whole page being built, and then I focus in on the building of the parts of the page. It's a fun process to work on the iPad. It's something I plan on doing more of.
That's cool. It made me think we need to do more movies, dude.
Yeah.
I don't know when.
Do a little planning and do one.
Dude, when I finish this comic book, I'm gonna have so much free time. It's gonna be like, dude, we got to do a comic. Or I mean, a movie.
Short.
Yeah, short. But it's a lot of fun. But we need for stuff to open back up.
Oh, we could take advantage of the idea of everybody else
hiding. You're
hiding
probably right. We'd probably have access to, or at least solo access to some stuff that we might not have normally. The Friday before Memorial Day, Michelle was just going stir crazy, and I was off work, and because at that point we were not working on Fridays, And so she was going stir crazy. So I said, well, I told her, I said, well, I'm going to go downtown because I was going a little stir crazy myself. I said, I'm going to go downtown and go down there with me. And she did. We went down and we actually walked around the tunnel. Of course, nothing was open, but the tunnel was open.
Well, that's cool, even though that's
Yeah.
that's the recirculated air that
Yeah.
you should try to avoid.
Yeah, it's okay. I had a mask on.
So anyway, I watched Hamlet today, the 4-hour version by Kenneth Branagh.
Yeah.
And wow, it's pretty cool. I've had people around me that had this amazing enthusiasm for Hamlet. And so I gave the Laurence Olivier version the first listen to it, and I'd seen it years ago, and then as I watched it again, it all came back to me.
Oh yeah.
And then I said, well, shoot, while I'm on the roll, I'll just see the one where they went all out and gave you the entire text. And
yeah.
For 4 dang hours. It's a good movie though, you can't get around that. It's quite the story, quite a classic.
I don't think I've ever read Hamlet. I had let's see, what grade was it? My 9th grade English teacher was nuts about Julius Caesar. Made us memorize big chunks of it, and
yeah, memorization. What does that do to your brain anyway? Does that keep you young? I don't know.
Yeah, I still remember part of it. Veni, vidi, victi. I came, I saw, I conquered. Yeah.
Yeah, Kate Winslet. This was the role she got right before Titanic. I thought she'd already been in Titanic. Was the reason she was in it. The movie had a lot of what you would call stunt casting. Right off the bat, one of the first faces you recognize in it, one of the first characters, is Jack Lemmon. And he's just this...
Oh, really?
Yeah, he's just this spear holder guard character that sees the ghost the first time. And it's it's like, wait a minute, this guy's been in 200 movies and you've got him as a spear carrier. Okay.
Yeah.
It was kind of distracting, really, but it was, he's good. And then, okay, here's the rest of the stunt casting. It had Charlton Heston in it. It had Robin Williams in it.
Get out of here.
Yep. And it had Billy Crystal in it. But Billy Crystal's probably one of the best parts of it. He was really good. He was the grave digger that pulls out Yorick's skull, and of course Yorick is where he has the big conversation about mortality. I knew him, Horatio.
Never read it.
Okay, yeah, well, yeah, but you've been exposed to so many of the cliches of it.
Yeah, I think I read Macbeth later, but I've never read. I was never one that sat down and read all of Shakespeare's stuff.
No, I haven't either.
Oh,
but I put the captions on after the first hour. And that was a good move because that way I'm reading it and watching it.
I watch most TV, mostly because my wife does not like it if I have the TV too loud. I'm not gonna blame her, but it's her fault. Most TV I watch with the captions on, movies and stuff. Just because if she's watching, she doesn't want it that loud.
Yeah.
And apparently my hearing is not what it used to be.
It's hard to catch all this stuff, yeah.
Well, yeah, especially like, something that's, what can I say?
obscure or being acted some sort of
Yeah,
weird
yeah.
way.
Sorry, I'm trying to remember what I drew the interior of this car like.
Yeah, thinking and drawing and stuff. Um,
Well,
the other thing I had written down is Allosaur as a topic, and that is because I just stepped off and spent $11 for a Blender course where I will build an Allosaur, and
oh yeah,
I'm into it. Skin deep at this point, but from the previews of it all, I'm pretty sure this is exactly the course I need to
oh yeah, that's
really
cool.
get me up to speed on it.
It's amazing how much video stuff there is out there for
Oh
some of
yeah,
this stuff, man.
oh, yeah. There's no reason. I've got no reason to have not learned Blender at this point. It's
Yeah.
after I got by a few tools, how to use them. It was like it was coming to me really quick.
Oh yeah. Now, how come Blender because it's free,
Yeah, it's free.
right?
Yeah,
Okay.
that's right. But also because it's one of the best tools you can lay your hands on out there. It really is.
Oh, okay.
Um,
We do 3D stuff at work. We do ZBrush,
you do ZBrush. Yep.
and I did some, and then they needed a seat, so I gave up my seat because I really don't have time to do it. One of the guys in my department does 3D stuff, and then we have a 3D department across the hall for more intense stuff. And I like it. I like it okay, but I mean, it's just it's not. It doesn't. It isn't something I need to do, and so it's easier for me to tell other people to do it.
Yeah.
That's the nice one of the nice things about being the boss. I don't know if one person's watching. I don't know who it is. One of the nice things about being the boss is like you don't really have it. You have to. You only have to do what you really have to do. You know. And there
Yeah.
are projects that's like, I get a call from somebody above me is like, I want you to handle this. Okay, I guess I'm doing that. But other than that, I can kind of pick and choose what I personally do. Of course, part of that is you have to know what your artist can do. Some of them
Yeah.
are better at
Sure.
other things. Some of them are, good at some things, and some of them are not at good.
Yeah, and you have to not worry about it. You have to know those things and delegate.
Yeah, lots of delegating. Well, one of the things, and I told somebody this the other day. In fact, I told lady that works for me. I said, the thing that you have to realize is everybody's a little bit different, and I have to know that. I deal with everybody a little bit different, not in an unfair way, but just in a what what do they require of me kind of way.
Yeah.
Because some people are better with different. I mean, just whatever it is, different kind of management style, I guess, or whatever. And Michelle even knows that when I was working at home during the pandemic, she said, because there's one female in my group and she's an older lady, and she goes, you talk to her a lot differently than you talk to the guys. And I was like, well, one, the phone call you just heard with the guy, I was kind of not happy with him. So, but also, yes, but she doesn't. That's how. And it's not that I treat her different because she's a girl. I just treat her different because she has a different personality.
Mm-hmm.
And I know, and there are ways that I treat this guy different than I do other people. But he he's still learning. She's been in the company for a while, so she's got it down. I don't have to have a little
Yeah.
talk with her about what needs to be done. She does it. So my chats with her are much friendlier, just by virtue of the fact that, well, I don't need to tell her to use spell check,
Yeah.
or whatever, But
Yeah, that must be a pretty big deal that, something goes out of the shop and it's got
oh,
some
God.
disaster like a misspelling. That would be bad.
Oh, jeez, dude. Yeah.
On a
Well,
trophy,
and
but I would treasure getting a trophy
yeah,
where somebody misspelled my name. That'd be great.
yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah. And the yeah, that's. I mean, yeah, that's the big thing. And the bad thing is spell check doesn't always catch stuff. And the other bad thing is they're not real good about using spell check. Here's my big thing, and I think this applies to anything you do, be it making trophies or making comic books or whatever. When you get done, look at it and then go, does everything look correct? Just look at it, And some of my people have trouble realizing that should be their final step, is that you're not really even checking anything. You're just looking at it. Just does this make sense? And if it doesn't, what's why not? Does this, we have a work order, is the work order. And I mean, I think that anyone doing anything creative should, that should be their final thing is, is this right? But,
Yeah.
Is this what I wanted? What, was everything correct? Is everything spelled right? Or whatever. But anyway, I'm fortunate.
Well,
because I have good employees working for me, for the most part.
Yeah.
No, they're good. They just slip up sometimes.
Yeah, that sort of attention to detail is one of those things.
Yeah, it's well, and I mean, don't get me wrong, I make mistakes too, but also, part of my job is I try and protect my employees from their own mistake. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And there was one guy that he had something to look great. I mean, it's phenomenal. Rushed something out. It was great. Everybody's happy with it. And there was a big misspelling on it. Luckily, it didn't go into production, but it got sent to the customer for approval, and the customer caught it. And we had a long talk, and it was like, I get it. I have what I call my hierarchy of mistakes, and it's basically where in the process the mistake gets caught, and I preach that to all my employees and myself for that matter, because I am certainly fallible in this process, but it's basically how close to getting that presentation to the customer that if you catch it, it's like if you catch it and fix it, you're good. If you don't catch it and I catch it, we're good. If then you go, if the salesperson catches it, then it's, that's not too bad. But then if it goes, you never want anything going to the customer, because, then you don't want the customer to not have confidence in you, because then they'll double check everything. And which, I mean, you want them to, but you don't want them to, because then they tend to go, well, can I see it in blue or whatever? And you get this builders constantly doing, changes, and that just eats up time. And time is always the enemy in my business.
Oh yeah, that's everybody.
We're not unique in that for sure.
That company I work for, InWorld, doing a little freelance.
Yeah.
They had me in the talent consideration for a big deal kind of cover.
Oh yeah.
I'd have to look it back up again to see what it was. I think it involved somehow the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles in a role-playing game.
Wow.
Or something. So that would have been fun. But I instantly decided, you know what? I'm just going to go ahead and
pass.
Not
Did you pass on it?
pass, but I did it high enough that it was really unlikely I'd get it. I said $500,
Yeah.
and they're more used to paying me like $40 a throw. So
Yeah.
he had explained how highly visible it was. So I just said, yeah, $500, and
Sure.
I didn't get it, but at the same time, I'm pretty glad I went that way of saying, yeah, I'll do it if the money's right.
Well, I've gotten. I think you and I are kind of in the same boat a lot of ways right now, in the fact that I'm just about at the point where it's like, hey, I'm going to work on what I want to work on, you
Sure.
know. And if I don't want to work, I mean, and I've had a few people that have talked to me about stuff, and I haven't turned anybody down necessarily, but there's stuff, and I've told you about some of it. Now I don't want to talk about some of it, but uh, I mean, I'm very well aware that I have 14 pages left of the comic, and then I have nothing. I have no backup plans. I don't even know how I'm going to approach whatever, you know. And I don't want to say I don't care, because I care, obviously, or I wouldn't be talking about it. But it's just like, something will come up, or not.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh,
Guy can
you know,
always, busy himself at something.
that's kind of my philosophy. Well, Michelle's like, something, you always get stuff always comes up. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'd like to either do more work on this. I mean, I think this writer will give me something if I don't find anything else, you know. And
Hmm.
and that would be great. I mean, I love this project. But he has warned me, like, we won't work on anything for this until we see how it's selling, which I'm good with. If it doesn't sell, I don't want to sink
Sure.
more
No, no, it's a hell of a
time and
lot of
effort
work
into it.
not to
Yeah,
sell a copy.
yeah, but he thinks it'll sell pretty well, and he's kind of got a reputation for having a nose for what sells. So we'll see. I don't know. I hope it. What I'd like to do is take a little bit of time off and I don't know, catch up on stuff, make a movie with you, draw my sketchbook some, read some, and then maybe, like, in a couple months, either start working on something with him. I wouldn't mind going to some conventions. The company I'm working for, they go to a ton of conventions. I think that'd be fun.
Well, yeah,
Depend. I've gotten to where I don't want to go to a big convention though. you know, with between the viruses, and it's just like, send me to. Is there something in North Texas I can go to?
I
You
was
know.
reading that that guy that was such a big Kirby archivist. Oh, what's his? Oh, Mark Evanier.
Oh
Uh,
yeah.
he's been to every San Diego Comic Con. So
Oh
that's
really?
pretty
I believe
impressive.
it.
There's about 50 of them, I think, by now.
Yeah, I think so. Uh, did we talk about San Diego being online this year?
No, I don't think we've actually discussed it.
I don't think we have discussed it.
But
You've seen that?
I sent that link out you sent to me on my Twitter. That's a pretty good deal, I guess. You know.
Yeah, I'm thinking about taking. I mean, I'm actually thinking about taking, like, some time off and watching some of the panels, maybe like a day or two.
Sure. I mean, it
You know.
beats standing in line for them, doesn't it?
Oh gosh, yeah. And I haven't been to San Diego in a while, and I'd love. I was hoping to go this year, but my comic wasn't done. So, and I always do. I was telling a guy at work, I always have, like, this weird thing that I do during the con, where I'll watch the panels online, and then which isn't too weird, but then I'll buy stuff on Amazon. I mean, I just treat this week like it's, or the week of the con like I was there, you know?
Yeah.
You know, I even like will buy hot dogs and eat hot dogs for lunch that week because that's what I always did at the con. You know, I get the same brand I got at the convention, so just goofy stuff like that, just to make me feel like I'm not missing out. You know, even though I am normally, but this year I won't be because no one will be there.
Yeah.
You know, God, that's got to be a kick to the shorts in their budget.
Oh man, all the Hollywood promotional stuff that ordinarily rolls everything out during this period, it is a big kick in the teeth.
You know what I hope, Ellis?
What's that?
I hope that this, I don't want to say it kills attendance, but I hope that it makes it more that people maybe next year maybe people that, you know, because it's such a circus that people go just to go. You know,
Sure.
they're not really going because they're interested in any of this stuff. There are a lot of people that do that. And, or at least there were last time, was it? Because I talked to people and they're like, you know, my friend got a week-long pass, and so he gave me his Thursday deal, you know, that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
I hope that this kind of, I don't know, cools down some of that. So it's, you know, more, I mean, I'd love for it to be like, for maybe Hollywood to be like, we don't need to make a big production out there. I don't think that'll happen, though.
Well, less and less because they'll be going directly to selling it to you to stream. They'll want to be in pitch mode even more.
Oh, yeah, I don't know. I think that as soon as they can get back in the groove, Hollywood's going to be back to normal. You know, now a lot of it depends on what happens. I mean, obviously, we have a second or third wave or whatever. Well, if we have a third wave, we're just screwed. But I think that Hollywood, because I heard a thing today. I was listening to somebody was talking about, you know, they were talking about AMC may go out of business, and I heard something today. They were talking about they're not going to or something. So,
well, yeah. I mean, the whole idea, the whole venue of getting out and about to do much of anything, got canceled here for a while. They are really trying to cancel Trump, getting his.
You're gonna get us booted off of YouTube again.
Well,
that is kind of fun. Yeah, they're wanting to stop the rallies, of course.
Mm-hmm, yep.
It's interesting because they haven't complained about anything else, but boy, it's like can't have a rally, you know. But we'll see. I mean, I think that, you know, at some point, people are not going to stay in their house forever. I mean, I know people that are like, I'm not leaving until I have to, but I think the average person is, I mean, dude, you know, my wife is still working at home and she's fit to be tied. I know there are people that like it. I mean, and you know, the narrative wants you to believe that, well, you know, it's these conservatives that want to go out because they want to get haircuts. Man, I saw my neighbor, and I promise you, we haven't talked about politics, but I can guarantee he's not conservative. And he was like, I've got to get out of my house. Yeah. I think people are just sick of staying. A lot of people are just sick of staying. Now, some people like it because, you know, it's, but I mean, you know, once things start opening up, I think it'll be different. This comic I'm drawing is a road trip, basically, and so I want to draw it in such a way that when like, for example, and I've gone through the thumbnails and worked this out. For example, they start off in Boston, so I'm gonna put some signs on here that are you know, highway signs leaving Boston, and part of it takes place in the desert, and so I want the terrain in the background to indicate like you're on a road trip.
Yeah.
you know. So I'm kind of working on that. It's taking more brain power than I would normally.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'm trying to
Making
plan
your
it
head
out.
hurt. That's what I always call it, making my head hurt.
Well, I just want it to be. I want it to feel like they're actually traveling. Excuse me, somewhere. And so I'm trying, and it's not really in the script. I mean, there's a scene that takes place in the desert later, but this just has them in the script, just has them driving, and so I'm like, okay, well, I'm gonna get some signs, and I want it to be like they're leaving. And so I did some research of what it'd be like. What was the foliage around Boston? I mean, would it be possible to be driving through some, with woods off to the side or whatever, you know?
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
not that takes a lot of the story up, but I just wanted to get that what's the word? There's a word I always mispronounce, verisimilitude, which is like the idea that it's not necessarily real, but it feels real. That's what I'm going for. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. Yeah. I'm a bad one to go to for pronunciations.
Okay.
Verisimilitude.
Verisimilitude, yeah. That's that's what I want with this kind of this idea, so it feels like okay. Also, I'm actually tracing this Hot Wheel, but it's a van, and it's these wizards because it's a fantasy comic or sort of. But anyway, these wizards have a flat tire, which is ironic because I had a flat tire yesterday. But they have a flat tire, and so they're trying to get help. But their van is like a stoner van from the '70s, and so I got to draw like some kind of fantasy scene on the side of it, like a like a '70s van. So I did some research just to see what those vans. Even though I was there, just to see what those vans look like. And it was kind of cool. It made me want a van.
Yeah. Vans back in the day, those were, that was the ultimate status symbol when I was in high
Oh
school.
yeah.
That was,
Oh yeah.
that was the way you left home for the first time, basically. I wonder what happened there.
Took off in your van.
Art
Did you
studio.
ever?
No, I never owned one.
Oh.
I had a friend that had a van that we did a lot of goofing around in. We drive around, smoke pot, and that sort of thing.
Maybe I should make one of these wizards look like you.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, basically that old Fast Times at Ridgemont High. Living that lifestyle.
Gotcha.
I think this thing actually just crashed and pushed
What
me out of
happened?
the system. Oh, I didn't lose anything, but all of a sudden it just
What
went.
do you work? Are you working in Manga Studio?
No, I'm working in Art Studio Pro. I'm not too happy with this, and I'm not going to let this be the look for it. The last strip was done like this with this simple one tone.
Yeah.
But on this one, I really had it envisioned that I was going to do a whole lot of hatching, kind of Joe Kubert-esque, or more like what I really wanted it to look like was EC, the guy that they called Ghastly. What was his real name? Graham Ingalls. Graham Ingalls.
Oh, Graham Ingalls. Okay.
Yeah. But to do that, I'm going to have to just totally dig in and rethink this. I think I'll just go ahead and move on and do some inking of the next page.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah, I'm trying to have a couple pages ready to go because I got a weird process so that if I get stuck on anything like that, it's like, okay, I'll just rather than get hung up.
Yeah, just move along.
Well, yeah, I'm kind of bad about, I can't do it. What am I going to do? And then get stuck for, and not productive.
I'll produce something I like, I think. We'll see.
Gotcha. So what are you going to do with these things when you're done? Do you have any kind of plan or?
Oh, it will turn into a PDF I put on Amazon. That's all I know.
Gotcha.
Wow, these pencils look kind of odd. Whoa, they look so totally different than everything else that I know is coming afterward. That's all right. I can do it.
You can fix it, Ellis.
Yeah,
I have faith in you.
this might give me a good idea about how to move the directional. Because at least I've kind of like blocked it out, big simple shapes. The cat
Was that a cat?
Yeah, you heard it, huh? Yeah, he wants to
Yeah.
be fed for the 10th time today.
Oh yeah, that's how animals are.
Yeah. But what it does is it comes up real close to me, cries, and then it knows that our game is then I get up as fast as I can and chase it. And it acts like it's just panicking, but it's actually running straight to its food bowl.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah.
No, wait. Is this a stray cat or is this your cat?
No,
or
it's the big fat black cat. And man, it is fat. I really need to.
So it's winning this game.
Just for its good. I really just need to say no and feed it feed it when I feel like it, or on a strict schedule. I may even ring a bell when it's time to eat. Just do a little Pavlov on it.
Do an experiment.
Yeah.
See if this will work.
I may start that. Just make sure it knows that when the bell rings, it's dinner time. But then I may leave the bell out, since it's a pretty smart little cat, and see if it starts ringing the bell itself.
That may happen.
That may, yeah. I mean, it's pretty smart.
So the joke on this page is.
Here, I'll solo you.
Oh, okay. So the joke on this page, I don't know when you've done it. I'm on it. I'm watching a delay. Okay, so the joke on this page is this whole book is a cross country race similar to Cannonball Run, and so if you haven't heard me talk about this, it's the story is called Heaven's Rejects. Angels get kicked out of heaven and they come to Earth. They fight like supernatural creatures and stuff here on Earth. So, but they're always broke, and so they get stuck in this deal working for this demon corporation, and so they're trying to kind of basically like get out of that, and so they make kind of this bet on this cross country race, and it's similar to Cannonball Run or something like that, and so they're going cross country, and so this page is kind of a joke because they're going, and they're like, okay, faster, and they go, oh look, the wizards had got off to a bad start, and they go, yeah, but they're losers, and so it's this van we have a mural on the side, a fantasy mural, and they're looking at this flat tire, and so this wizard comes up and he goes, you shall not pass. And then they just blow past them, and they're like, "Oh, they didn't even slow down," And so it's kind of funny. I try to draw this big dramatic scene where doing the Gandalf thing of "You shall not pass."
Yeah.
And they just blow past him. Anyway, that's the kind of stuff that Greg throws into his scripts, which I think is pretty funny. I like working on this because there's lots of crazy stuff I get to draw, and but it also has kind of to me in my mind, maybe in nobody else's, It reminds me of like a '70s Steve Gerber Marvel comic, like kind of like a Howard the Duck or something. Maybe not social commentary, but just kind of a zany, you know, never know what's going to happen.
Who just died? That was
Denny O'Neil.
Yeah, Denny O'Neil. Yep. Mainly known for DC. Yeah.
Yeah, big DC guy. Yeah. Yeah, we talked about him on the podcast. I saw him in New York. I don't know if it was last year, maybe the year before, at a Marvel panel.
Huh.
And because he was an editor at Marvel for a while. Yeah. And he told he was very dismissive of Steve Ditko. I mean, I got the feeling they just didn't gel, and he kind of was, you know, I thought he was a little over the line. Of course, I'm a big Ditko fan.
Yeah.
And he took some jabs at him that I thought were probably, because I think this wasn't long after Ditko had passed. I thought it was probably a little over the top, you know, a little unnecessary. But and then he talked about, and I'd heard this story that they tried to put acid in Stan Lee's coffee, but apparently that was him. That was all him that wanted to do that, you know. And it just kind of, the whole thing just kind of was like, okay, dude, you know.
Struck you as several strikes against you as it's my.
Well, just as a yeah, just kind of one. And if I was a fan of his, I probably wouldn't. I probably have been like, who cares?
Yeah.
But you know, like I said, I'm not a DC guy, so I didn't come to him with, you know, this reverence or you know, I wasn't in any mood to. I'm more impressed with Ditko and Stan Lee than any of his stuff. You know, not that he's not a legend or whatever, but it just kind of, you know. But I mean, that's not to say that, you know, I'm glad he's passed or anything. It's kind of sad.
Oh, you know,
he was pretty. He was just, you know, had a different mindset.
Part of his time. Yeah.
Well, and I think part of it, honestly, Ellis, was he was kind of playing to the crowd, and when he was kind of ribbing Ditko, it got laughs, and so I think it kind of encouraged him to be a little more outrageous than he might have been, you know, otherwise. I'm not one to you know, judge someone based on one. I mean, I don't know the guy or didn't know the guy, you know. Like I said, and I acknowledge that I come into it kind of not really, you know, a fan of his. When he said that, I was kind of like, ooh, okay, you know. But,
well, I just know that he worked with Jim Aparo on some Batmans, and he was a writer, and I didn't follow very closely the guys that were doing the writing. You know, I knew the guy that wrote the Conans that actually was able to make the transition. That makes him impressive. The Roy, what's his name?
Roy Thomas.
Roy Thomas. He actually got invited by movies to say, hey, let's have some of that Conan expertise on this movie. So
Oh, did he?
Yeah, I think he was on the Conan.
Good. Better that one than that latest one.
Yeah.
Even though I haven't seen it. Have you seen the latest one? It's on Amazon.
Jason Momoa.
Is it Jason? It is Jason Momoa, isn't it?
I think it is. Yeah.
No, I think you're right.
He's probably, probably make a good one if they did it right tonally, but I imagine they didn't. The guy who did it right was that poor crazy guy that the arch conservative that wrote Apocalypse Now for Francis Ford Coppola.
Oh, really?
What's his name?
I don't know who you're talking about.
Oh, the guy that wrote Conan, the movie.
The Arnold Schwarzenegger movie?
Yeah. Oh, directed it too. What am I talking about? He directed it. It's about his only directing effort. Oh,
yeah, I don't know who the director was.
I'll look it up. This time I'll change pages to look it up.
No, yeah, don't crash us.
Let's see.
Or should I say, don't crash us again?
Yeah, exactly. Hey, I don't like this. Conan O'Brien comes up, and he's the only thing you can see when you type it in.
Gosh.
God, I hate Google.
Oh yeah, well.
They used to be just the it used to just be the what they call it, the spider that searched for you. That's not the case now.
The web crawler.
The web crawler.
Or whatever. I was never.
John Milius. John Milius.
Oh, John Milius. There's a documentary about him on Amazon.
Oh, actually,
I think it's on. No. It may be on Canopy.
Yeah, all about his how all his life kind of misfired. He had a lot of health problems, and all that stuff happened to him. Yeah.
Oh, you're making me want to watch that.
Oh, you didn't see it?
No, I've just seen that it's up. I think it's in my wish list. I can't remember if it's on Amazon or Canopy. Do you know?
I'm not sure. I'm not even sure what it's called. I'll click on him. I'm sure there's something about him.
Yeah, somebody did a documentary about him.
It's just called Milius.
Oh, yep. That's all I knew was about him.
Yep. He did Red Dawn, Avenge Me, Boys. And,
Wolverines.
Yeah. As a writer, he did Miami Vice TV series, one episode. Conan the Barbarian, he wrote 1941. He wrote Apocalypse Now.
Well.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'd put 1941 on my resume, but
yeah. Oh, one of my favorites. He wrote Jeremiah Johnson.
Oh yeah,
that's a good one. And he wrote. Apparently, he's uncredited on Dirty Harry, which is weird.
Really?
I seem to remember a guy named Harry Fink doing that. Let me look that up. Here we go. Right, writers: Harry Julian Fink, Rita M. Fink. Oh, it looks like there's 3 more credits on the writing.
Oh gosh.
Yeah. Terrence Malick was apparently involved. You know, they turn those screenplays over to such a horde of people. It's almost like what they are purposely doing is saying, okay, nobody can claim this at this point. It's a mishmash.
Confused in ownership.
Exactly. And then you can also cram in a couple of guys that definitely didn't do anything on it and give them the credit, for
I think
floating out a couple of ideas and stuff like that.
Well, I think some of that is like payoffs for, something.
Yeah.
We'll let you write a draft of the script and we'll pay you $20,000 for it if you do this or whatever, I've heard of that kind of stuff going on.
I saw where these guys that were working on Doctor Strange for up until recently, the writing team of what's his name? Well, one of them is named Cargill, and the other one is the director, who is named. Everybody knows who I'm talking about. But now they've gone back to just being like Blumhouse guys, those guys that do independent horror stuff. Which,
you're talking about the next Doctor Strange movie, right?
Yeah, but they got kind of booted off of that.
Yeah. Yeah, did they get booted or did they quit?
Oh, I think
They got booted.
they got kind of booted to the extent that it's probably polite enough, saying, "Oh well, we're starting to think maybe your direction is not what we want." And you're talking about Disney, and it's like your direction better be their direction.
Yeah, they. I was watching. Somebody was talking about the Marvel movies on a YouTube thing today, and I watched part of it, and they were talking about how, what Marvel has done with the Marvel movies is they've kind of come up with the formula, and the formula is that it's not really a formula for making the movie, but they discourage directors to kind of put their personal stamp on it.
Yeah, they don't want to see anything wildly original from you, definitely.
No. It's the and I think it's kind of the approach to the comics. It's like, hey, this is what the character. It's all about the characters, and if you want to do something original, go create your own comic universe.
Exactly, yeah. It really takes a kind of a system, though, to really turn you into the kind of production monkey that anything like a real comic company needs. You've got to have guys that do nothing else for a living that you've got lined up with a whole lot of work that you can just be counting on to keep that pipeline greased and going.
You're talking about the comics, not the movies,
right? The comics, not the movies. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's true. I think that's why. I think that's why people talk about, and I used to kind of labor under this idea that if I just sent off the right sample, all of a sudden, like, the doors of Marvel would open for me. And I've kind of realized, like, that ain't gonna happen, just because they need people that they can count on, and they can't tell from a sample,
No.
And I think they'll look at people and they'll keep people in mind, but ultimately they have to find somebody they can trust.
Yeah.
To deliver
have something like a record.
Exactly. And so I think the idea of I think that's why a lot of people break traditionally. I think a lot of people that break in were, at least up until whatever, it was all you were working for. You had an Image book, or you had a Dark Horse book, or whatever. I mean, that's what I was told, is that they hired from people that work. You got to work for another company.
Oh, Image was hiring guys that they just liked. You could come in with a sample of Image and go to work for them if they thought you had the goods, but at the same time, they were come on and work here at the studio. They had enough little room. They had the literal bullpen going on in a lot of cases.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I kick myself because when I've had like the worst luck. Not luck. That's kind of the wrong word. But when I first was interested, I wasn't interested in comics, or I stopped reading comics when I was a kid. By the time I turned 16, and then when I started reading again in the 90s, I wasn't really interested in making them for a long time, and then I got interested in making them about the time that they crashed.
Yeah.
So it was about 2000, 99, I started sending in samples, something like that, 99, 98, something like that. And I didn't go to a convention with samples until 2000. Mm-hmm. And I had a real, kind of a real cartoony style originally, kind of, because I thought that's what they were doing. And so I was kind of doing that. Well, then, all that stuff was kind of passe, and they were doing, like, a lot of people were looking for, like, a Brian Hitch kind of stuff, Yeah,
I've been watching those David Finch stuff. Those are really good.
Oh, those are great.
They're fun to watch. And he's making a real point of being very you know, he's really packaging them well. You know what I'm saying? It's really first rate in terms of like saying, you know, let's get right to it. It feels like, you know, you're watching one of the old painting programs or something. You know, I mean, it's very it's very structured. I guess is all I meant to say.
Yeah.
Hey, we've been at it an hour. You got anything you want to plug or anything?
No, I mean, I've been real lax about. When I was waiting for my car, I drew something to put on Instagram. I would just say, if you like listening to this, check out my webpage, scottsackett.org. I'm Scott Sackett on Instagram. Facebook friend me. I'm as long as you're cool and not crazy.
Yeah.
Which could be anybody nowadays.
Oh yeah. There's a lot of crazies.
There's a lot of crazies out there. I do a podcast myself called Scott at Midnight. It's on YouTube. You can look for that. I talk about all kinds of unusual stuff. I want to do one. I think my next one is going to be on UFOs, Bigfoot, and the Bermuda Triangle. Paranormal. I don't know what you call that. Paranormal in the 70s. Talk about how when I was a kid I was really into UFOs, but I'm gonna and how that's kind of coming back, you know. So, or it's come back, but I think for me personally it's coming back. But anyway, I think that'll be a lot of what I talk about is stuff from when I was a kid, you know, in the 70s and 80s. You know, it's not all comics. There's some comic stuff. I've talked about architecture. It's basically stuff that interests me that doesn't fit in the other 15 podcasts I do.
Yeah.
So it's my own.
I've gotten to where I made our links to where they aren't broken now or shouldn't be. So now these posts will have good working links, and I'll go back to the old ones and paste those in too. I'll edit those. Maybe I'll do that right after this. Okay, Scott.
Hang on.
Go ahead.
Whoa.
What else?
I was gonna say I was watching one of Doug's. I think it was last night. He was doing an ink thing, and I saw one of the commentators was our pal Fly Fox Pro. So I thought that was pretty funny. Yeah.
Oh yeah. He's around. He shows up on a lot of my in threads and everything. So yeah, I think I saw him saying something tonight about horror movies.
Oh yeah. Anyway. Okay. Well, I guess are we done?
Yeah, I guess so. We'll do it again next Wednesday or whatever.
In the podcast, we'll talk for a second.
Okay.